Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Valeria and this is the Off-Road Trench, as usual. Today I would like to talk about the criteria for choosing a car. But I will not tell you, don't buy this, or you need to buy this, or this is bad and this is good. I will give you general principles, so that you have the opportunity to consider them and choose by yourself. These criteria apply not only to Jeeps, but in my case, I will choose a Jeep. Why I need a Jeep, I told in the video number 2, and you can follow the link in the corner. But I will also touch on this topic today. I will tell about the criteria for choosing, their examples of using, the possibilities of modernization, common mistakes when choosing, and advice of other people. And also, I will tell you my one secret. Criteria to be guided when choosing a car, and I will use as well, are size. The first thing people look at when choosing a car. For example, a small car will allow you to move easily around the city and park it in narrow places. Also, such cars often consume less fuel. From the other side, a large car will allow a family with 3 children to go to nature and take all the necessary. Of course, Jeeps belong to the class of large cars, but its purpose is often specialized and relates to off-road driving. Despite the fact that I will carry building materials, I want a medium-sized Jeep. Firstly, it will allow me to park in the city if necessary and not look awkward. And secondly, if I choose a very large car, it may have more disadvantages than advantages compared to a smaller car. The second criteria is patency. If you drive around the city only, then this question is not relevant for you, at least in summer. But it cannot be said about winter and spring if there are ice and snow in your region. Also, if you like outdoor activities and traveling to really hard-to-reach places, then you need a car with increased cross-country ability. Nowadays, a lot of cars are called SUVs, but in fact, not all of them really are. Some believe that an SUV can be called a car that travels outside the city. Also, in advertisements, we often see that such cars drive outside the city on roads, not through the mud. And such cars, despite their size, price, fuel consumption and advertisements, are not real SUVs. I need a car that will really allow me to drive in the absence of roads with good road surface, or in off-road conditions, if it is necessary to avoid flooded sections of the road, for example. The next point is transfer case. As a rule, there is no transfer box in urban city cars. As a rule, a city-type car has either rear-wheel drive or front-wheel drive. SUVs have the ability to use both rear-wheel drive and full-wheel drive, both on asphalt and off-road. Thanks to this, you can easily and simply pass through difficult places. But it doesn't mean that you can take driving inattentively or flippantly, because there are certain rules. Depending on your skills, the car can behave very differently. And given its mass, an unprepared driver can even lose control. Load capacity. Usually, most of people are satisfied with load capacity which is stated in technical specifications from the factory. But sometimes this is not enough, if the car must perform certain tasks. This factor is important for me, since it will allow me to equip the car additionally, carry tools and materials, and be sure of its reliability. And also, in the future, it will allow me to use it for my outdoor activities and travel. I will see later if the load capacity of my car will be enough. In any case, it will have to comply with the requirements of the legislation and accepted international standards for category B. Despite the fact that I also have category C, in some areas of public places it is prohibited to use freight transport. That's why I don't want to modernize a car in such a way that it will belong to category C. The quality of the metal. Today, the body of passenger cars, as a rule, is made of light metal alloys, with the exception of Land Rover, which makes its cars from titanium. Also, for lots of cars, plastic and other artificial materials are used. They don't have sufficiently high strengths, which cannot be said about composite materials from the old, good steel. Therefore, the quality of the metal the car body is made from is closely related to the carrying capacity and maintainability. It also affects the amount of body work, the frequency of maintenance, metal fatigue changes, passenger safety, the presence of rust and other types of corrosion. Frame strength. This characteristic is again related to the carrying capacity and quality of the metal. This affects the ability to tow another car, to face the rear or face of the car using a high jack, to use auxiliary equipment designed to pull a car, for example, shackles and winches. Safety of passengers and safety of internal components of the car also depend on this. Another point is engine characteristics: power, volume, fuel consumption, torque, reliability, and wear resistance. There are a large number of agents, and despite the fact that some of them are constructively poor designed, they continue to enter the market. This can bring the owner a lot of additional surprises included in the purchasing the car. At the same time, some flawless agents cannot be found on the market. Fortunately, due to the unification of agents within the same concern, you can choose agents for your car from other models quite often. The right agent will give my Jeep the necessary power. It will allow to put bigger tires if necessary, to play the required weight, equipment and materials. It will allow to pull a trailer if necessary, to pull myself or another car out of the mud without wearing and heating to critical temperature. And also it will provide with electricity additional systems of energy consumption in full in various difficult situations. Capacity and ergonomics of the cabin. It will allow you to ride comfortably without getting tired, which is especially important if you are constantly focused on a broken road or if a long journey awaits you. A roomy interior will allow you to place materials or to go on a small expedition for several days, taking with you travel equipment, provisions and other payloads. Easy and simple maintenance. First of all, by the simplicity of the car, I mean the absence of complex blocks that do not allow repairs to be carried out in a short time in field conditions. Therefore, ease of maintenance will allow me to carry out all the necessary work independently, having simple logic and understandable manuals. And for those who don't have time or don't want to figure out what exactly needs to be done, it is better to find a service and never even consider off-road as a hobby. Fuel consumption. In off-road vehicles, it is a priori higher than in cars designed for the use in the urban cycle. The most obvious factors are the engine size, the curb weight of the car, and the number of equipment that needs energy. The higher the level of customization and overall modernization, and the larger the number of additional systems such as light, music, winches, inverter, the higher consumption will be compared with the stock model, which is logical. If the car has breakdowns, then most often it will also have increased consumption. Therefore, it is important to keep a car in good condition and monitor all important parameters. Sound and vibration isolation. On short trips and low speeds, this will not bother you, but on long distances or high speeds, it will tire you very much. Moreover, you will not hear the music and your companion. This point is not noticed immediately, since other criteria are more priority. Of course, this issue can be solved by replacing the upholstery, but it costs quite a lot and sometimes still doesn't give the desired result. Price. You already know everything. It varies depending on the manufacturer, class, functions, novelty, modernization, and so on. Also, the cost of the car includes the cost of maintenance, replacement of parts, and so on. And this amount can be very large and you cannot avoid it. I understand that the costs for my car will be pretty high, but it will be the car that will work off the expenses for itself and will not drive for beauty or show-offs. I will talk about my future expenses later in other videos. Another criteria is possibility of buying parts or making them. The possibility of buying and their price depends on the demand for the car in a particular country, on the presence of a distributor, on the availability of service centers, and the age of the original model. In case of self-manufacturing, it depends on the complexity of parts, their quality, and your skills. Be careful, because in this case, you yourself are responsible for this. A thoughtful choice of the car will allow to avoid many problems with deliveries, purchases, replacements, and prices in the future. Another criterion is an ability to upgrade to my needs. Here, we need to talk in general, why modernization is needed and what upgrades can be. I will give examples of different operations of cars and what requirements they impose. Expeditions. This means that the car must provide autonomy, independence, and reliability on long and deserted trips where there may be no roads, drinking water, food, fuel, car service, and emergency medical care. Competition or a trip on the road that doesn't exist. The car must provide cross-country ability, power, endurance, and possibly speed. It often needs larger wheels and a safety cage, not to mention a winch. You need to be prepared for breakdowns and repairs by the end of the road and for constant investment of money. A car designed for construction work and agricultural work. Most often, you know these types of cars as a pickup truck. Its functionality should allow it to participate in construction works and to deliver various equipment in case when big trucks cannot reach the destination. The car must have a reinforced body and trunk, enough space, and the ability to pull a trailer. Fishing or other water conditions. The car must be protected from water ingress into the engine. The internal components must be as high above the ground as possible. All electrics must be waterproofed. Mountains or other rocky terrain. There is a need in external and internal safety cages, specialized tires and suspension, arm mobility, and protection of all active components of suspension. Deserts. In this case, an additional radiator for the engine and protection of the battery from overheating and redirecting air are needed. There is definitely a need of special sand filters and sand trucks. SUVs are also used by charitable organizations, for example, those who are looking for missing people. In this case, it is all the more to ensure a serious approach and the necessary equipment, including taking measures for first aid, because in this case, lives of other people depend on you. And one more point is show-offs. But here I have nothing to say. Since I have a good eye and since I worked in a garage, then I can say that as a rule, the minimum that everyone does is a powerful battery, increased light, specialized tires, power bumpers, and a winch, and sometimes replacing the cardan and strengthening the body. But modernization is a complex approach. I have seen many times when people did something just because they wanted. This doesn't improve performance and perhaps even worsens. For example, many people want to increase the wheels, but they don't realize that often this requires the following work: welding the body fenders, replacing suspension arms, more powerful engine, cutting the bumper, replacing the elements of the rear axle or replacing it entirely in order to have enough torque. Or someone wants to install a winch, but this is a quick battery discharge, the need for a powerful engine to prevent overheating and deep battery discharge, determination of the installation location, where exactly to install it. On the frame, then body felding is needed. On power bumpers, then you need to install bumpers. And in this case, issues of mass, size, and safety for pedestrians may arise. Or someone wants an expedition trunk, but it can weigh 300 kilograms, not to mention the weight you want to place there. Is the engine power enough to handle the increased weight? Or will you kill the engine in a short time? How much additional weight the car body hold so that it doesn't fall apart in a while? Perhaps internal reinforcement is needed, but in this case, passenger safety issues arise. And if you need an external reinforcement of the body, then issues with road safety may arise. Or someone wants cool, powerful lighting. But will a person be able to ensure road safety in his vehicle on public roads? Whether the electrics is thought out so that a short circuit doesn't occur? Will the battery have enough power to provide with electricity additional systems? Will the alternator be able to charge the battery? And if you replace the alternator with a more powerful one, then won't the alternator burn it after it charges it? Of course, small changes will make your car more functional and most likely will not bring many negative consequences. But if we talk about specific needs, then most likely you cannot just add what you want or what some experts advise you. In this case, design and detailed selection of equipment is required. Friends, I ask you to subscribe and turn on notifications about new videos on my channel. I also ask you to tell your friends about it and ask to subscribe as well if they are interested. I need this in order to get first 10,000 subscribers to have monetization from YouTube. This small financing will free for me a few hours a month to make more interesting content for you. All examples that I have given, regardless of the topic, are those things that I personally encountered. This applies to all my videos, including physical activity, nutrition, safety, and so on. I will be glad to hear in the comments your examples that will confirm or refute the facts that I have told, or expand the horizons of my knowledge. So, what are the main mistakes you can make when choosing a car? The first one is misunderstanding what tasks the car will be used for and what operation conditions will be. If you want to demand a lot from a car, then you should study the model seriously. In case of off-road cars, reliability plays a greater role than the age of the car, the mileage, and moreover, show-offs. If you want to enjoy driving, you need to study as much information about all components of the car as possible. Study history and reason for creation. Study forums, reviews, and YouTube. If possible, consult with experts in their fields. The second point is the need for modernization in principle and whether it is really necessary to modify something in the purchased car. The most common answer for 95% of drivers is no. Another point is savings. This consists in the fact that you buy high-quality parts and carry out technical maintenance regularly. Otherwise, you will have to replace some parts and details repeatedly and very often. The thoughtlessness of modernization. If you don't foresee everything you need and don't design it, then you will endanger all road participants. Moreover, you will find yourself in an unpleasant situation in the most inopportune moment. For example, discharge the whole battery after 5 minutes of winching. Welcome to hardcore. Get stuck in a swamp because you have the wrong tires. Welcome to hardcore. Go fishing with a low-mounted engine. Welcome to hardcore. Also, one point is frivolity. If you are going to leave breakdowns until the next time and the next time, and you think this is normal because the car is still performing its functions, then don't be surprised or frightened if the car behaves unpredictably. Moreover, some parts can destroy other parts of the car. And most likely it will happen when you leave 300 kilometers from the city. Because this is when you give it a load that unreliable parts cannot withstand. A complex car is a living organism, and it must be treated with respect. Otherwise, it carries great dangers for you and those around you. Despite the fact that I have already talked about my choice in other videos, here I will expand this topic a bit. What models of Jeeps do I consider and why them? In terms of characteristics, the best American SUVs are Jeep Cherokee, Jeep Grand Cherokee, and Jeep Wrangler. Also, they are the most popular in the lines of Jeeps. I said in previous videos that I consider old models of Jeeps. I understand that all Jeeps models will not be ideal due to age and the specifics of the ride. But these cars with rich and worthy history, powerful equipment, and a service life of decades arouse interest and admiration. The opportunity to make them ideal for yourself causes enthusiasm and a desire to experiment. The quality of older models, metal thickness, patency, body characteristics, maintainability, and wear resistance of various blocks with proper maintenance allows the car to withstand more loads and go more in forests, mountains, mud, water, in competitions than newer models. These cars are equipped with a range of powerful and reliable motors. They have wonderful engines. There is simple and reliable electrics, and the wires remain thick and soft where it is necessary even after 25 years. A spacious trunk gives you a possibility to go on long journeys. The chassis is very reliable. The ground clearance gives you the freedom to drive on different surfaces and force water obstacles. Everything is very simple, very old, very reliable, and very elaborated. At the time when these cars were designed and manufactured, the manufacturers didn't plan cars to become unusable and fall apart in 3-5 years. Older Jeeps are easier to maintain in terms of the logic for an average person and equipped with less modern electronics. This allows more independent work and gives you more control and predictability in the behavior of the car and its capabilities. They can be upgraded the way you like. You can make either a monster or a beauty out of them with your own hands. It is easy to lift them to increase ground clearance. To improve cross-country ability, it is often enough to reduce the pressure in the tires slightly to the required level on off-road. Some people design and assemble one car out of 3-4 cars if they have the need, the desire, or an increased level of insanity. Both men and women like old Jeeps regardless of occupation and lifestyle. Some have said that such cars like Jeep Cherokee XJ, Jeep Grand Cherokee ZJ, and Classic Wrangler are the best cars they ever had. Due to the fact that Jeeps are in demand in competitions, off-roading, and simply for satisfying aesthetic taste and passion for engineering, finding specialized parts is no problem. When particular nodes break down, they are often replaced immediately in blocks, which happens easily and quickly. But I know that, as usual, this applies to the countries of Western Union and the USA, and finding parts where I am can be difficult. So if I cannot buy or deliver what I need, then I will design and manufacture parts by myself. Of course, each car has a number of weaknesses and shortcomings, but there is nothing that doesn't break. The point is that there are certain things that don't break under certain conditions and that are reliable under constant operation. From the other side, there are some models of cars that are reliable only when staying in a garage without moving. For example, Chinese counterfeit from metal powder. In addition, weaknesses of certain models and their prevention measures are often already known in advance. Jeeps will drive for a very long time. Many breakdowns won't be a problem for them. However, it doesn't mean that you can take the car maintenance lightly or try to test its indestructibility. You can break everything, even metal, if you have nothing in your head. Therefore, the question is, are you satisfied with weaknesses and breakdowns of your car? Different people may dissuade you from a particular purchase for a number of reasons. In order to be sure of your purchase, you need to consider a number of points. The first one, if you have special requirements for operation, then it might happen that there is no SUV that initially meets your needs. Someone goes to competitions. Someone goes fishing. Someone carries tools and materials. Someone goes to the forest to relax on the weekend. Someone compensates with the size of the car for other physical parameters. For every need, you need your own characteristics of an SUV. This means that no advice will suit you, and you need to find a car that will be the most suitable for customization. The Jeep is the kind of car you can do anything with. Another point is that the cost and frequency of repairs and maintenance depend on operating conditions. If you constantly drive through woods, then you should expect that you need to service the car after each such visit. It can be once a week, once a month, once a year, depending on the work required. In addition, even if your car has been standing idle for a year on the street, it may still require investment. This can be sorting and replacing braking calipers, replacing a battery that died in a year, replacing a generator if it is jammed, getting rid of rust if there were rains or road chemical substances, and other works. The third point is that all cars have weaknesses. The question is, what weaknesses are suitable for you and what are unacceptable? Perhaps, in conditions of your operation, these weaknesses will not show themselves or even will become an advantage. In addition, at the initial stage, a car may have many problems, and this will repel a buyer. But you can invest in a Jeep once, using high-quality parts and service, and it will not cause inconvenience for a long time with regular maintenance. Another point is that people don't know where you need a car. Modernization is a complex process for them, and they don't want to invest their time and energy in it. They don't want to spend money to improve the car. But this means that these people simply don't need the functionality that you need. They are used to go with the flow of life. They don't understand the need and seriousness of change and modernization. They don't understand what problems can arise if you do everything lightly and try to save money. Also, many people simply don't know the capabilities of the car, but still dissuade you from buying. These advisors fall into two categories. The former have experience in the operation and repair of off-road vehicles, but don't have enough knowledge about technical solutions that can be implemented in your case and what work can be done. You can learn from them the knowledge they encountered. The second didn't even drive real off-road vehicles. They don't know the differences between cars and have other requirements than you when choosing a car. These requirements are completely different. What kind of cars will suit in the city? the cost of maintenance, the cost of insurance, gas mileage, and others. Even if they wish you well, perhaps they shouldn't be listened to. This is especially true for show-offs. After all, no one sees a loan in a bank, but everyone sees a car for $200,000. People with adequate thinking and priorities treat a car as a means of transportation. People with adequate thinking treat a car as a tool. And the last point, they want to sell their car to you. Such people are also divided into two categories. The first sincerely believe that their car will really suit you. The latter are trying to get rid of what they don't need, even if they know in advance that their car won't be suitable for your operation. The reason for this may be the desire to earn money, the desire to earn quickly, or just excitement. Perhaps my words make someone think that this leads to high cost for the car. Firstly, any car with special needs is always an expense, and to need what you want, you need to work hard. Secondly, cars come in different price categories, and the cost of spare parts depends on the manufacturer. Thirdly, you can do everything yourself, as I will do. But if you have money and no time, you want to attract work to professionals and don't want to delve into details, then there are customizing studios at all large factories that will do everything you need. And fourthly, it is always important to choose a car with a long-term ownership perspective. It means to compare all the cars that you choose among themselves in terms of long-term ownership costs and not a one-time purchase. As for my car expenses, I have seen and driven different cars at my previous job. Their cost varied depending on the required functionality. For example, the stock-equipped model could cost $50,000, and a complete upgrade of the purchase could cost up to $250,000. Since I have certain goals and a narrow range of tasks, the cost of my car won't be too high. I will do everything on my own as much as possible, for which I have to study a wide range of works and buy a large number of tools that will be constantly in demand in the future. I talked about possible difficulties and the tools I need for repairing in the video number 5. As you might notice, I didn't give a single ready-made solution. I talked about different criteria and gave examples of exploitation to make you think and take your own decisions. You won't find here an approach, do as I say. You have your own head to think and take responsibility for your actions. I will be glad to see in the comments why you need a car, what criteria are important for you, what mistakes you personally made, and what you learned from them. It is extremely valuable for me to know that information that I give may help other people. It was Valeria, the Off-Road Ranch. Wish you all the best and see you soon. Almost the end. I promised you in the beginning of the video that I will tell you my secret. So, I already chose the car, and currently I negotiate about the price and solve issues with documents. I hope that there will be no problems with documents, and very soon I will show it, inspect, and make a list of required work. Thank you for watching till the end. It was Valeria, the Off-Road Ranch. Wish you all the best and see you soon.